My name is Holly, and welcome to my anxiety chapter. I am genuinely curious what other people's first reaction is when they feel a panic attack coming on, especially when it has little to no buildup. I know a girl who completely shuts down. She sits there and can be looking right at you. Outside, she seems completely stoic, but she says internally it is as if she's fighting for her life, running from a swarm of bees in a lightning storm. My panic attacks are not only internal, but externally visible as well. I can't hide it on my face that I'm slipping into a nervous, skittish state. Escape is my go-to. I left off my story alluding to another bathroom stall panic room experience. Allow me to recap for a second and pick up my tales of anxious woes. I had traveled to Phoenix anxious, but actually panic-free, until I tried to leave with my rental car. I ended up hiding in a bathroom stall, sobbing, journaling, and praying. Now, my time in Phoenix itself was not as bad. When I'm alone in the car, I talk to God. I rebuke myself and the devil, loudly and boldly. Driving to the hotel the first night, I was crying out for forgiveness. I felt just so broken and beaten down, like I had failed. I realized that I had refused what God was giving me as an answer to my pleas for help: medicinal intervention. I didn't love the drive to work in the morning. I got turned around from getting stuck in an exit-only lane. Twice. But that was easily resolved by rerouting and taking side streets to work the next 2 days. I had a wonderful time in office. The Lead Like Jesus workshop was above and beyond what I needed. It is great for anyone and everyone, not just a person in a role of leadership. You can be a Christian role model in almost any industry. While I am a team leader, I found so much of it beneficial for personal reflection. With my anxiety being ever so present in my mind during this time, that is what guided my goal making. It was a little sad leaving the office my last day. I truly love the atmosphere and the people I work with, and video calls are just not the same as those in-person moments. The drive to the rental car center was fairly easy as traffic was light. I parked the car and gathered my belongings. I knew I had several hours to go before my flight, which helped ease my mind. Knowing that the next most difficult part of my day is still far away made it easier. Except, if it were that easy, I wanted to title this 2.5 Panic Attacks to Go. Allow me to set the stage for the first round of panic. I crossed out of the rental car center lobby to the little SkyTrain station. I usually do fairly well on the SkyTrain. It takes less than 10 minutes, and I think because it moves so quickly between stops, my brain doesn't get a chance to start plotting against me. It was super crowded, more than I had ever seen it. It turned out one of the 2 trains had broken down, which meant the train would be completely full and would have to make a full loop where normally 2 trains are only minutes apart and breaks up the congestion. The boarding area was just so full. I watched as the train was filled so completely that if someone inhaled, I'm sure someone 15 feet away would feel a ripple through the crowd. And even with the train completely filled, the lobby was still crammed with what felt like 100 people standing there shoulder to shoulder. I stood there watching and starting to feel that impending doubt and doom. I ran away. I went back to the lobby and sat down, and I got on my phone for a while. I thought, well, the other train would be back up and running pretty quickly. After some time, I got up and started walking back towards the exit to glance at the loading area. It was still a very full-looking line. I told myself, let's just use the restroom just in case, to help build up the logic that it's going to be okay, and to tell myself that my anxiety bathroom reactions will not need to happen. That is when I found myself in that same bathroom stall, crying. Yep, my panic attacks 99% of the time lead to a sob fest. And guess what? The stupid lock didn't hold again, and the door swung open. After managing to pull myself together, I got in line at the train. I filled my mouth with a gob of cinnamon gum, and I hate cinnamon. so it's an unpleasant sensation to help distract my scattered thoughts. And I had music playing and a rubber band across my palm, which I was snapping. I positioned myself in the train to be right by the doors on the other side. In my mind, I could just walk off of it before it took off if needed. Once it got going, while completely filled to the point where it felt ready to burst open with people just exploding out of the sides, I managed to calm myself down a little bit. Once at the airport, I was functionable again. Shall we move on to panic attack number 2? The flight home. I waited until the last moment to board again. The flight attendant at the door could tell right away I was in a state. I explained that I'm claustrophobic. She was so sweet, explaining that as soon as we are airborne, I can get up and walk around or even come stand up in her little area away from people. She got me a cold, wet towel and let the other attendant who was stationed in the back know of my situation. The woman in the back also checked on me before takeoff. I feel bad for the man sitting next to me. He was seemingly paying attention to his movie the entire time, but I know he was being polite, not staring at me in my frantic, panicked mess. There's no way he didn't notice. As we slowly pulled from the gate and towards the runway, my nerves deteriorated. While my prayers, never actually leaving my lips, were screams and cries out in my mind. I ended up rocking back and forth. I snapped that rubber band so many times across the top of my hand that a week later I still have a rough callus. My vision blurred, a white noise roared in my ears, and my chest hurt as if my heart was clenching up. Phoenix has such a large airport and it is so busy that it feels like it takes forever to actually take off. And of course, this is the time in which I call it strapped and trapped, the worst time of my anxiety. The flight itself was shorter than usual. The weather was clear and it was a smooth flight, and I only had to get up once. I had an amazing moment with God about mid-flight. I haven't yet decided if I should share it openly yet, but it was proof to me that the Lord heard my cries and was giving me comfort. It wasn't His will to take the anxiety off of me, but it was His will to give me comfort after. Thankfully by then I had my eye mask on and it soaked up my tears. And here enters the half a panic attack. We got to Tulsa early, so we had to circle. I've never had issues with the Tulsa airport before. It's my favorite one to travel in and out of, which is saying a lot because of how much I hate to fly. Taking longer during that time before landing, being held prisoner by the stupid seatbelt light, was starting to take what little I had left in me. We finally got to land, and lo and behold, just like Phoenix, there was a plane sitting at our gate. We had to wait for it to move. Then we could move up closer, but could not connect to the gate yet because the crew wasn't ready for us. I know it was rude, but as soon as that light turned off, I grabbed my stuff and was up the aisle towards the front waiting to depart. I couldn't wait for each row ahead of me to stand and gather their things and depart like slow, sleepy slugs. In reality, this was more of an anxious episode than a panic attack. But I was almost done now. I just had to get home and sleep it off.